Sorry about that. I got cut off there. Lost the signal. See if I can get connected here again. What's up, everybody? Tomorrow's Friday. Soon be the weekend. Hope everybody's enjoying this short work week we have and ready for the weekend. Got a little rain today. Looks like it's going to be raining most of the day, but at least it's raining and warm. It's not rainy and cold. That's a big plus. Always try and find the silver lining in things. It could be far worse. It could be cold. We could be locked inside. It could be snowing. So let's be thankful for a warm, rainy day as opposed to a cold, rainy day. But I wanted to get on here and try and voice or share my feelings. I'm not even sure they're thoughts as much as they are feelings about the way that we as a society and a country and a community and people and families and businesses and friends, like we're all just being put to the test right now. And I don't claim or believe that in any way I have some secret answer to all of this. But what I do believe is the solution that we all desire and the resolve that we need will come from each other. So what I try and do in situations like this, whether it's, this what felt like was nearing the end of this crisis with the epidemic, and now you have these, society issues that are, in Minnesota, with you're watching what's going on right now with these riots and the murder of an innocent man. I mean, whether or not he broke the law or whatever, the punishment far outweighed whatever crime he was believed or could have possibly been, suspected of committing. I mean, it was flat out murder. There's no way that you can watch that video from any perspective and believe that was anything other than that. And it's so sickening to me to watch that and feel so helpless. I mean, I can't imagine, how the folks that were there felt as they watched this man die in front of their eyes. And, in some capacity tried to intervene. But, if you think about physically approaching those police officers as they are apprehending and killing another man, the fear of God literally had to be in those few people that watched that happen live. And it creates such an emotional response. And, the most powerful thing in this world is our emotions. I mean, it gets people to do things that are out of character. Our emotions can trigger us to do things that are go against lifelong morals that people have. Our emotions, can get us to do, as individuals, as people, as crowds, as communities, more than any logical explanation could ever inspire people to do. And I'm just, for myself, putting this out there that I know that in these times, whether you're 20 years old, 60 years old, you have 10 kids, you're a business owner, you work somewhere, whatever, whether you realize it or not, people watch what you do and they respond to your behavior. They respond to your posts. They respond to your body language. And right now it is so natural for us all to have emotional responses to everything from our civil liberties being taken away, to, the other side of that, if you want to call it argument, where people believe that we have a civil responsibility to stay home. I mean, it's hard to say which is right or wrong, because each people's entitled to their opinion. And every person, if you take 100 people, they have 100 different sets of core values, 100 different sets of goals, 100 different sets of fears. And so much of what's going on right now in this country will trigger an emotional response from us. And an emotional response seldomly involves any real logic. Oftentimes, emotional responses can actually be what leads us down a path that we come to regret. And for my own personal well-being, I'm making a commitment, and I would encourage anybody that is open-minded enough to want to be part of the solution, is to just have some compassion for your fellow American, your fellow human being, regardless of skin color, regardless of economical status, regardless of whether they want to eat in or stay home, whether they want to go back to normal or stay sheltered, whether they're a police officer or a firefighter, white, black, red, yellow, whatever, is just be compassionate. And sometimes is that what requires is for us to table and, shelf our own personal emotional responses to situations. Because everybody's different. I mean, we've all been raised different. We all have had different childhood experiences. We've all had different social, interactions with our neighbors. We've all had different, interactions with police and military and government. So our response to a situation is triggered by our experiences. So when we all have different experiences, it should be expected that we all have different emotional responses. And, I don't, at least I'm not friends with, thank Lord, anybody that has said anything other than what has happened in Minnesota with that man, George Floyd, is anything other than a crime. Unfortunately, I think what could happen is if we don't pull together as a community to respond, and some people will respond differently. Some people will be very outspoken. Some people will quietly try and process it. It's taken me several days to even ponder whether or not I could effectively speak on the topic. I'm not a police officer. I've never been black. I've never experienced even any type of police brutality, but I know it exists. I see it every day. So it's just really hard for me in any instance to speak on something where I feel that I could be out of pocket. And, I just try and put myself in the shoes of other people and try and understand their perspective. And it never means that you have to agree with or compromise your values, but understanding perspective, understanding context is one of the most admirable, skill sets that we have as people, is our ability to be able to process information and have some semblance of control over our emotions. I mean, our natural response and what might be called knee-jerk reaction almost happens without any thought from us. We have very minimal control, but what we do have control over is how we allow our emotions to affect our thoughts, and then those thoughts will ultimately dictate what action we take. And for me, I know no other way than to just seek wisdom from people that I believe have answers, seek perspective from people that have been impacted differently by these chain of events that I may have been, and then just show, compassion and understanding for how these events may impact different people, and whether or not you agree with it. At a minimum, you'll have a deeper understanding of how people may be responding to these things. and be less quick to judge and be more understanding and more supportive. It's easy to support people that share your same values, that share your same opinions, that share your same motivations. But to me, the real test of your character is your ability to be supportive of something that may be right, even though you don't necessarily agree with it. And I know that may be confusing to say, like, what's right or wrong is sometimes black or white, but I don't think it's always that way. I believe that there's an appropriate response and a set of emotions that come along with every person's personal experience. And it's right. It's like a feeling, and based on your experience is not right or wrong. It's okay for you to feel that way. And when we start, fighting and arguing on Facebook or, at a get together or at work, oftentimes what we're just failing to do is understand and seek the perspective of the people that oppose us. And oftentimes what we'll find is we don't have a difference of core values. We don't have a difference of morals. We have a difference of perspective. So for me, I only know one way to do that, and that's to, again, seek wisdom from those that have a deeper understanding and greater comprehension of this world that we live in and all the challenges that come with it. I'm going to do my best to walk a mile, in the shoes of someone else that may be impacted or affected differently, and to do my best to understand the perspective of those that have different responses than me. And Brandon, I'll be inside. And I would just encourage everybody to try and do the same. It is not a natural response or behavior for us to do that, because so much of the way that we respond to situations, particularly those that are of the drastic measure of what we've seen happen with George Floyd and the situation in Minnesota with the riots, it's natural for us to have an emotional response, to put very little thought into it, and then take action on those emotions. And for myself, this is a promise that I'm going to do my best to try and just have a better perspective of where people are coming from, be compassionate, be understanding, be supportive, even in the eyes of an opinion that I may disagree with. And again, I don't believe that anybody would disagree, about the magnitude of the situation and how severe the response needs to be to these police officers and anybody that played a part in the murder of this man. How we respond, the corrective action that needs to be taken, how we improve as a society, and how we stop as best that we can from that ever happening again. And the only way that I know for us to accomplish such a massive task is to work together. And it's not going to be one side versus the other and somebody wins and somehow, we've championed right or wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, it will require us coming together as a community and doing what's right. And I just believe that in order to be able to do that, you have to be able to understand and put yourself in someone else's shoes. Because if your experiences are different than someone else's experiences, if you grew up differently, if you grew up in a different neighborhood, if you've, worked somewhere different, I mean, all of that contributes to our views and the way that we respond to things. So the only way that you as a person, I believe, can work together with more than a handful of people that we, surround ourselves with, is our ability to be able to understand someone's perspective, even when we at its surface disagree with it. So I pray for Minnesota. I pray for the family of that murdered young man. I pray for anybody that is, brought to their proverbial knees by what's happened. It's scary. It's upsetting. It's sickening. I mean, there's the range of emotions that I feel is just so hard to explain, which is why it's been such a struggle for me to even be willing to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, that's just my take on it. And I know that personally I need to respond a certain way, because whether you know it, whether you're on Facebook Live and you're watching this, or you're a person that's in a leadership position at your company, or you own a business, or you're just a person in your community, whether you know it or not, people watch what you do. They'll follow your lead, or they'll respond to your behavior. So everything that we do has an impact on the people around us. So I just pray for everybody. I will continue to seek wisdom and from those that I believe have, the ability to provide clarity in a situation like this. And I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is able to do their best to stay the course, and not allow these things to drive us even further apart, because in my opinion, in my humble opinion at that, is the only way for us to start to heal is to work together. And it's not going to be for us to work together inside of the groups that we already surround ourselves with. It requires us to work with people that may have different views than us and different experiences. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Thursday, and makes the most of a rainy day today. But again, the silver lining is it's not cold, and we are starting to get back to living our lives and leave our houses. And soon it appears that on June 5th, we'll be able to dine outside. So hopefully this will provide some relief for all of this mental anguish I think that a lot of people have been dealing with, just by watching the news or being alive right now has tested us and challenged our perseverance, and challenged our mental toughness and physical well-being. And I would just encourage you to lean on your neighbor, to be understanding of different opinions and different views. Be supportive of it. Like, don't even just understand, like, support someone's ability and their right to speak out about their beliefs and about their opinions, and be supportive of it. Even if it's not what you believe in, at least support their right to have their own opinion. That's all I have to say. I wish everybody the best. And I'm going to do my best to be part of the solution and the healing process, and I hope you'll do the same. All right, y'all. Peace.